say, it's very
Yeah.
limited, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
the whole system is also created by him. So
Yeah.
it's you
Yeah.
have to, yeah.
Yeah. So what we want to do is become comfortable with that idea that we're not God now, and that we're never going to become God. Because obviously, by definition, also, God is always God. How can a not God being become God through some yoga practice, through some tapasya, some austerities? How can someone that's not God now become God in the future? God, by definition, it was God before, and God in the present, and God in the future. God is always God by definition. And the Bhagavatam says, Aham eva sameva agre nanyadyat sarasatparam paschadaham yadi tatshayo vasishyeta sawasmi aham. So what that means is Krishna is talking to Lord Brahma in the second canto Bhagavatam, and he's saying, I was existing before this creation when there was nothing but myself. Nor was there this material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is I, the personality of Godhead. And after everything is annihilated, that which remains is also I, the personality of Godhead. So in that verse, the Lord is saying that he was existing before the universe was created. He's existing now, and he exists after everything is destroyed. He exists. He's always there. Now we're not on that same platform, you know. This body we have now is just so temporary. And the idea that in this one short life we're going to become God just through doing some austerities and yoga process or whatever like that is ridiculous. It doesn't fit in at all with the definition of what God is.
There's another level, when we say I want to do this and I want to do that, or I want to make this thing work, but we still have not 100% in control of that thing.
That's right.
You wanna create something, you think you are doing it, but you are so many conditions, so many variables are there which are controlled by Krishna. So basically, even if you're doing it, really depends on him whether he wants you to give you or not. But at the end of it, you are not in 100% control. So that's also, I mean, at lower level, at individual level, if you think that, if you are saying I can do this, I can do this, that's also, do you think that's also kind of saying God is not involved? I'm doing it because I did it. I built this, I built that.
Yeah. That's called a hankar. That's what a
Oh, that's
hankar
a
is.
hankar. That's
Thinking
what. Okay.
I'm in control, I'm doing it. Yeah.
So that's the word. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
That's
So
false ego.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's at lower level saying
Yeah.
I'm in control. It's kind of saying I'm ahankar.
Yeah.
As you said, ahankar means you are basically having, you don't have something, but you are assuming that you have it, right? The power.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing, yeah.
That we have the power to do something or control
Okay.
something. Actually, we're helpless. Our real position is helpless.
I
Like,
think
do you think anyone was desiring that there would be COVID virus? I don't think so. If we'd probably desiring that it stops, but it's not stopping.
that's
So
right.
what power we have to control, so we're in a helpless position. And times like this hopefully should make people a bit humble and realize that we're not in control and that we are helpless and we're dependent on the Supreme Lord. And that we should maybe hopefully realize that we should toe the line and do what we're told and follow the universal laws and not misbehave and do crazy things.
I think these things are basically saying the God is giving you a hint, saying that okay, something is going wrong, you need to correct it. He's giving you the
Yes.
hint.
Yeah.
But we are so engrossed to say. But still, I mean, there are people who are looking at nature, trying to save it, but still, we most of us ignore it, saying we don't get the hint. And similarly, at the individual life, I think is that you go through difficult times. That's also kind of alignment to the right way to live. So if you're
Yes.
becoming sick, that means you are not doing something with the nature, laws of the nature. So that's why you are becoming sick. So God is giving you so many hints, but we don't listen at all. I mean, that's what I think. I mean, that's probably it should be. I mean, we are not following the laws of or we don't know the laws of the God or the nature.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So what we're trying to do through this bhakti yoga process is becoming comfortable with that idea that I'm not the controller, I'm not the supreme, that I'm a tiny, helpless part and parcel of the supreme, and learning to be comfortable with that, happy with that, that I'm a servant of God, Das. That's why all of our names we end in Das once we take to bhakti yoga, that everyone is Das, we're all servant. And not just begrudgingly that, oh, I have to, accept that. No, that we like that position.
Yes.
And actually, when you think about it, you know, like for example, your children, actually their position's very good because you're doing all the hard work. You know, you're maintaining them and providing for them and everything like that, and they're safe, with you, they're protected, everything. So when you have a powerful master looking over you and you're subordinate like that, it's actually a very good position. That you're being taken care of, you're being protected, you're being maintained, and that's actually a very good position. One time, Prabhupada was walking on a beach in Mumbai called Juhu. I don't know if you've heard of Juhu. It's quite famous.
Yes. Yeah, quite famous.
Very nice beach. I've been there. It's a lovely beach. Many people go for a walk in the morning before work there for a bit of exercise. So Prabhupada was also getting some exercise there. And they saw that one man was walking with a little dog, and there was a big dog came, but he had no master. He was a stray dog, what we call a stray dog. And the big stray dog, he gave a big bark, woof, bark, woof. And the little dog wasn't afraid at all. Do you know why? Normally, a big dog and a small dog, obviously the small dog's going to be afraid. But in this scenario, the small dog had no fear. Why?
Probably it's because with his master, so
Yeah, because even though he's small by himself, he's no chance with the big dog. But he was with his big, more powerful master, so he had no fear. And then the small dog gave a small bark, woof, and the big dog ran away in fear. So because he was with his master, he was very fearless and courageous. And that big dog was very afraid because he had no one to protect it. So Prabhupada turned around to the devotees and said, we are like that small dog. We have our very powerful, perfect master Krishna, and we are his tiny servants like this little dog, and we have no fear, And godless, materialist people are like that big dog. They're always in anxiety, always afraid. When I'm growing old, I'm getting sick, I'm going to die, or I'm going to, all these kind of scenarios. They're always in fearful condition. The COVID virus maybe will get me, or so many things. We're very afraid all the time. Actually, it said there's four main things that come with the material body. It's called ahar, means eating. Nidram means sleeping. And maituni means mating, sex life. And bayam means fearfulness. And it said of the four, the main one is the bayam, that the living entities in the material are always afraid. And it's because of this godless consciousness. We forget that we have a very powerful master that is there to protect us and maintain us. If we remember that, we wouldn't have bayam. We wouldn't be afraid. We wouldn't be afraid at all. And that's so, we should be so comfortable with that consciousness that I am, very fortunate to be a servant of the supreme powerful Lord. As it's explained in this verse, he's so powerful, and we should be so happy and so satisfied to come under the shelter of a powerful master. So the idea in Bhakti Yoga is we want to sharanam, we want to surrender. We want to surrender to the master. For so long, my Lord, I have acted independently from you, and I have turned away from you. but now I surrender. Now from this time, I'm yours. I am your servant and you are my master. So you please protect me and engage me in your service. So this is like a prayer of the devotee. And it's just a paradigm shift. It's a complete change. Before we were thinking, I'm God, I'm the protector, I'm the controller, I'm the maintainer and all this like that. And now we're taking ourselves out of the center and putting Krishna in the center,
which is the truth. I mean, yeah,
which is
that's
the truth,
because you don't have any control over so many things.
Yeah, that's the reality. I mean, that's just not logical at all for someone to think that the universe revolves around me. It does everything I want and everything that's just ridiculous. I mean, if anyone blatantly said like that, they'd probably put them in the lunatic asylum, to think that, that everything revolves around me, and people do become crazy because of these kind of godless mentalities. And people do try to play the role of God, either, openly or deviously. We do try to play God's role, and it gets us in a lot of trouble. And we should, if we're intelligent, realize that actually I'm not the center. I'm not the central point. Everything doesn't revolve around me. And neither I am the supreme enjoyer, and I'm not the supreme proprietor. I'm not the supreme controller. I'm not omniscient. Can anyone say, because the definition of God also is omniscient, means he knows everything. I don't know everything, and omnipresent means present everywhere at the same time. I'm not omnipresent, so we should just be honest. But because the soul becomes like crooked, very dishonest, and we try to cheat, so we have to give up this cheating propensity and be honest, not only with others, but be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That I am Anu. I'm not a Vibhu. I'm Anu. I'm very tiny. And there's nothing wrong with being tiny. Like I said, with that small dog, there's nothing wrong with being a small dog. You don't have to be a big dog. You just have to have a good master with you. You can be, completely insignificant, but as long as you have the shelter of a big master, it's a very lovely Sanskrit word called ashraya. You know that word, ashraya?
Yeah, that means to take shelter of somebody.
Yeah, shelter. And that's all. That's if we do that, then we're as happy as Larry, as they say. We're very happy. If we have shelter. It's just like, we have a nice house. You feel happy because you have shelter from the rain and the wind and the sun and everything like that. So if we take shelter of the Lord, then you're protected from so many difficulties. So many.
That's what I think. I think Prabhupada says is constitutional position. Where you are. I mean, is that? Yeah. So where you are, if you understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as you talked about, there's so many mental. People are psychological problem. People anxious about everything. Yeah. I think I was listening to one of his lectures. I don't know when it was. He was saying that the mental hospitals are growing bigger or something like that. Why? I mean, that's one of the reasons.
And that was 50 years ago. What about now?
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
yeah.
So what he was trying to say is, that we are not actually, we don't understand our constitutional position. So that's why we are putting pressure on ourselves. If I do something wrong, I'm doing you're putting on yourself. So that's I think it's very it's very something different. As I said, paradigm shift. You're not in control.
And that has an amazing effect if we make that change in our consciousness. That it's like it lifts a big weight off your shoulders because you're carrying this. Imagine it's called in Sanskrit baram. Baram means very heavy burden, weight. Carrying that, so much responsibility. I have to maintain the family and business and all the finances and everything, and I have to do this and I have to do that, and I, and it's like building up the weight. And that creates so much stress and tension. Everything's depending on me. Everything's relying on me. And, I have to do this. I have to do that. But as soon as you surrender and take shelter, and you realize that Krishna is doing everything, and we just have to try to line up our desires with him, and he takes over. He takes care. And like Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, that I've already killed everyone on the battlefield. Krishna says that in the 11th chapter. You can read it there. He says, I've already killed everyone, because Arjuna didn't want to fight, right? He didn't want to kill. But Krishna said, I've already, by my previous arrangement, he says, Purvam eva. So by my previous, I've already decided that everyone here on the battlefield is going to die. No one's going home. So he says to Arjuna, all I want you to be my instrument. But I've already done it. It's already done. But the only thing I want you to do is become the instrument for fulfilling my arrangement. And he said, if you don't do it, if you don't want to become my instrument, I'll do it through someone else. But then you won't get the credit. You won't get the glory. Because, see, does that make sense?
Yes, I mean, yeah. So basically, God is controlling everything. We are just basically, as you said, instrument, basically.
Yeah.
That's what we are. Everything is decided by him. So
yeah. In Sanskrit, it's called nimitta matram. Nimitta matram.
Matram, okay.
Nimit
means small or something? Nimit, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm just guessing. Nimit.
Yeah. Prabhupada translates nimitta matram to instrument.
Oh, instrument.
To instrument, yeah.
Oh, it's
so.
Okay. I can understand.
Or you can also use the word puppet. We're just like a puppet. He's pulling the strings.
And we don't realize it.
Yeah. But does that mean we have no part to play in anything, that we're just completely helpless? I mean, we do have an important part to play in what regard? The physical things are taking place under the control of the Lord, and all the devas, the demigods, are working under him. As it's mentioned here, the demigods are working under his control. So between him and the demigods, all the external things are being controlled. So does that mean we're just like mindless robots and we're not doing anything? No, there is one thing where we do have an important part to play. Do you know what that is?
I think is it to understand real self, and then maybe serve the purpose you are here for, which is basically going to the Godhead, trying to learn and understand. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just guessing it.
That's close, but it's our contribution is our desires. Our desire. We have some free choice. Like Krishna gave the choice to Arjuna. You decide whether you want to fight or not fight. That's your choice. But after you make the choice, he makes all the arrangements. But on your what's on your your part to play is the desire. That's your desire. So you have that choice. How are you going to utilize those desires? So we can, like in Arjuna's case, whether he could desire not to fight or desire to fight. And that's not God is controlling that one. God is giving you the freedom to how you're going to utilize your desires. And that's where love comes into it, because then that gives that opportunity to have loving relationships. Like if I have to serve Krishna, then where's the love? It's like you have to pay taxes. It's not. I love the government so much, and I just feel like giving them half of my money. No, you have to do it. It's not that you want to do it or you choose to do it, but you have to do it. So to have a loving relationship, there has to be freedom of choice. So Krishna gives us that freedom to choose.
Okay.
But all the mechanical things that are actually done is not in our control, like our arms moving and legs and the heart beating and all this kind of the eyes focusing in and out and all this kind of, this is all done by the powerful Ishvaras, the controllers. And like there's one demigod that controls your eyes. Did you know that?
No. Oh.
The blinking of your eyes and everything is controlled by one demigod. There's another demigod that controls your digestion. Another one that controls the movement of your limbs, your arms and legs and so forth and everything. But one thing that we do have some control over is our desires. And then according to that, different arrangements will be made by the Lord and the demigods like that. And that depends whether we get what we desire, depends on our karma too. So there's two things in there. You know, you have your desire, but then also what's looked at is your past karma. Whether you've done punya or papa, and so that will determine also, you know, whether you're going to get what you desire or so forth.
So punya is you do everything according to the nature's law or God's law.
Yes, yes.
You don't go against it. Basically, that's the path.
Yes, yeah. Just like you might desire a BMW, but if you've only got $1,000 in the bank, you might just get a broken down Toyota Corolla. You know, you'll still get a car, but not exactly what you wanted. But if you have $100,000 in the bank account, then you can get your desire. So that's like your karmic account.
Oh.
If you have sufficient punya, you know, you may get what you want. And if you don't, then you may not get it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's easy to understand. We should get all the punya so that it's a logical.
But that's also a very important lesson. We have to be very careful what we desire. Because if you have a bad desire, like for example, to be God, I want to be God. You can desire that if you want, but that's a very bad outcome. That means we have to come back to the material world again to have a go at playing that role, which we play the role very badly because we're not doing so well at being God.
But we don't have the potencies to do that, you know, all the potencies God has, we don't have those. I mean, obviously, you can think you're God, but at the end of the day, you're not.
Yeah, yeah. So that's very powerful knowledge to know that. That our power is in what we desire. You have to. That's why we want to study the scriptures and associate with knowledgeable, intelligent people, so that we can learn how to desire in the most profitable way, in the most beneficial and profitable way. We want to cultivate the best desires that are going to give us the best return for investment, right? ROI.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like you think in business, you know, what's the best return I'm going to get from my investment? So also, what's the very best desires I can have that will give me the very best future? You know, in Vedic cultures, what's considered very important is to make for our human life to become a siddha. Siddha. Siddha means perfection. That's what we should want. We should desire perfection. And what's perfection? Growing old, getting sick and dying of COVID virus or whatever? That's not perfection. That's suffering. You know, so perfection means to get free from suffering permanently. And what's that? That's moksha. That's mukti. Liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi. No more birth, no more old age, no more disease, no more death. That is Vedic culture. That's the best desire. That we want to cultivate desires for perfection, to get free from suffering forever. And that's the opportunity in human life, that we can make a permanent solution to all suffering. That when this body dies, which we can't stop that, But where we can stop it, do you know where you can stop the cycle of suffering? The cycle is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. So birth and disease, old age, death. So where can the cycle be broken?
So when you actually get out of that cycle, you have to get out of that cycle, is it?
Yeah. But the interesting thing is, let's go into more detail. Exactly at what point can you get off the wheel? It's called samsara, right? Samsara chakra. Samsara chakra means the wheel of birth and death. So, if you imagine you're on like a Ferris wheel, at what point are you going to get off the wheel?
When it's down, I guess. When you're down, obviously.
Yeah, so obviously that one when it's down. But the samsara chakra, where do you get out?
Samsara
chakra. Can you stop it? Can you stop death?
You can't.
Okay. Can you stop old age?
No, you can't.
Can you stop disease?
No, you can't.
Can you stop birth?
You can't control birth as well, you know.
Yes, you can. You can stop it.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah.
That you can't stop the body dying, but where you do stop it is that if you cultivate these desires to love God, bhakti, then there's no more birth. You stopped it at that point. So from this body dying, the soul, instead of going back into another body, it goes to Vaikuntha Loka, to the spiritual world. If you develop the prema, the love for God. Because let's look at this. Okay, I have a desire. I have free choice to desire. I desire to serve Krishna, or Ram, or Nrsimha, or Narayana. Right? These are all Vaikuntha persons.
Yeah.
So I love Krishna. I want to serve Krishna. Then see, Krishna's looking at. He's in your heart. He knows what you're desiring. Oh, you want me. You want me? Okay, come to me. You want me, then he's fulfilled every other stupid desire you had. You desired, money and a car and all the whatever things, people in the material world, I want food, money, car. He's given, yes, okay, have it. So when we desire, okay, I want only you, then he's not going to give that. Of course he's going to give that. So if you desire, I want you, Krishna. I only want to serve you now. You are my master. I'm your servant. I want to serve you. And Krishna's going to say, yes, okay, come to me. And when you're going to come to him, is the body's going to die, and then you're going to come to him. And then that means that the cycle's broken. Then you don't take birth again in another material body. You only take birth again in a material body because you have material desires. That's why it talks about so many times in Prabhupada's book, sense gratification. Because these are the materialistic desires to satisfy the senses. We desire, I want something for my tongue. I want something for my eyes to look at a beautiful woman. I want something for my genitals. I want, something to listen to, something to smell. We're trying to please the senses, serve the senses. So that's what's causing us to take birth again, because of these desires. So like I'm saying, desire is so important. We have to work on the quality of our desires. You can't stop desiring. It's impossible. Actually, some transcendentalists, that like Buddhists and Mayavadis, they try to stop the desires because they know that the desires are entangling us, material desires. But the main thing is, it's not the desiring that's a problem, but it's the quality of your desires. If you desire things of enjoying in the material world, that's entangling us. But if you desire, a loving relationship with God, that's liberating you. If you desire satsanga, sadhu sangha, that's liberating you. That's freeing you from the material world.
And the other thing is, is it possible to get rid of all material desires? I think I was hearing something that it's impossible to get rid of all those material desires. But if it really depends on Krishna, isn't it? Your sincerity towards him or your love towards.
Yeah, like I said, we're pretty helpless. We're like that small dog. Right? We're pretty helpless on our own. We are. But the thing is, if you, like I said, take shelter of the Lord's surrender, he'll help us. You know, because we're having trouble with these material desires because Maya is more powerful than us. You know, Maya is like that big dog. But Krishna is like that powerful man. So, you know, Maya is more powerful than us, but she's not more powerful than Krishna because Krishna is her master.
Yes.
Durga. Actually, when we say Maya, we're talking about the wife of Lord Shiva, Durga. She's the controller of the material world, and she keeps everyone under illusion, Durga. So it's very difficult to get free from all these material desires and everything, but not impossible. And that Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that he admits that this material energy, Maya, is very difficult to overcome. However, he says if one surrenders to me, one can easily cross over it. So that's the solution. To get free from the big dog, you've got to take shelter of the big master. And then it's no problem. Then you have no fear. And then, so you mentioned, is it possible to get rid of material desires? See, it's not quite like that. How it happens is that you're replacing the material desires with spiritual desires. And then there's no room for the material desires. Like if you have a cup full of water, completely full to the top with water, if you drop oil on that glass, what's going to happen?
The water is going to come out because it's replacing air. Yeah, we can't.
No. The oil will fall off.
Oh, it's because it's okay.
If it's completely full, it has to be not 97%, not 98, 99, it has to be 100%. So if the glass is completely full of water, then the oil will just run off.
Oh yeah.
There's nowhere for it to go. So we've got to be like that. So we fill up our consciousness with spiritual desires, and then automatically the material desires will. So it's like that. You have a scale, right? The more this side goes up, the other side's going to go down. So imagine this is the spiritual side. That's material. So when if you increase on your spiritual desires, that means the material desires are going to go down, and it goes the other way too. If you increase on your material desires, then the spiritual is going to go down. So it can go both ways. So that's what I'm saying. We have that free choice. That's what we have control over. Do you want to go this way? Or do you want to go this way? That's your choice. That's not God doing that. That's not God, manipulating your desires. That's you have some choice, which way you want to go. And if you go this way, you're going to end up in Vaikuntha. If you go this way, you're going to come back again to the material world. And that's not God's fault. That's us that's doing that. But once you make that desire, then he arranges the rest. Once you put in your desire, then you're locked in with a certain reactions will come. Because action and reaction. It's not by itself. Wherever there's an action, like was it Newton's law, every action has an equal opposite reaction. So when you say karma, you're talking about two things. You're talking about action, and then there'll be a result or a reaction that comes with it. And also what you're really looking at too when you talk about karma is also you're looking at desires, because you have a desire and then you act, right?
Desire is the cause of your karma, because you're desiring something mentally first, then physically you're doing. So mental karma and then physical.
It doesn't start with the physical. It doesn't start with the physical. It starts with the mind.
Yeah, desire.
It starts with the mind. So first of all you desire, then the action happens, and then you get a reaction will come from that action, and that locks you in. That reaction locks you in with another action. So that where we can break that cycle is in the desiring. We have to change those desires.
And you have to be really aware about that, what you're desiring. Then you can only change. If you are just going auto mode, If you're somebody, most of us, I used to be same. I'm still same. Auto mode means you just do things and desire things without even thinking, isn't it? That's kind of a auto, some kind of auto consciousness, or I don't know. So it's basically. So I think when the desire coming, which is not Krishna according to God's way, then we should be. So mind, you need to be aware of that. To control that, probably you have to be very aware. I think that can only come when you have the right knowledge, I guess.
Yeah. And then people may argue that, well, that's impossible to have only spiritual desires. I have to get food for my family, and I have to make money, and I have to maintain the business, and all these things. But that's not necessarily going to be mundane. If you think, well, I want to get some food to offer Krishna, to make prasadam, then that becomes spiritual. That eating process becomes spiritual. I'm going to offer the food to Krishna and then eat it. I'm going to distribute prasadam to my family. We're going to, make some money and buy some food and offer the food to Krishna and have prasadam and eat that prasadam. And that then you've spiritualized that whole process. Or I got to do my business. Well, that's material. But I'm going to do business for Krishna. This is Krishna's business. It's not my business. It's Krishna's business. Then that becomes spiritual, everything. It's my house, but you change that, and it's Krishna's house. And I am Krishna's servant in Krishna's house. This is Krishna's house, and I'm his servant. And I'm paying Krishna's bills. Is it your bills or Krishna's bills? So you might say, well, I'm in the material world. How can I not have material desires? But the thing is, it's just about changing, like I said, the central point. Everything can be there in the spiritual life that's in the material life. And material life, there's a house and a car and money and a bank and a husband and wife and kids. In spiritual life, there can be the same things there. But in the material life, who's in the center of that whole equation? We are. But in spiritual life, the only difference, there's only one difference. The central point is not me, it's Krishna. So that's all we're doing. You don't have to change anything except for one thing, that you put Krishna in the center. And everything else can be there. And by doing that, everything becomes spiritual.
And do you think, once you are in tune, as you said, you do everything Krishna, everything else which you actually materially desire will automatically go away, or somehow you will be satisfied with what is happening, or it will basically, Krishna will take care of everything. You don't need to worry because you are living in the right way. You understand that he is the supreme controller. Basically, he is the proprietor of everything. So if you you do God-centered stuff, everything else will fall in place. Is that how you should be looking at it?
You accept everything that happens in your life, whether it be what we call good or bad, as his arrangement. And because God is all good, whatever he's arranging is good. So there's no such thing as good and bad in spiritual life. It's all good.
It's all good.
It means that there's no duality. There's no more duality. There's only good and bad and happiness and suffering, and that in materialistic consciousness. We see in dualistic way, dualities, with ourself in the center. But in spiritual life, that there's an all good, all perfect person controlling everything. So I don't understand why this happened, COVID virus or whatever, but I know that ultimately it's in his control. So that's perfect arrangement. And so I don't have any anxiety about lockdowns and COVID virus. Actually, okay, say there's a lockdown. Well, that's giving me more time to read Isopanisad. Before the lockdown, I didn't have time to read. Now I have more time to read. So then, immediately you can see there's some benefits there. We just have to find it.
Yeah, I think, as you said, we should be looking at what's positive side of everything. Because it's always positive from the God. It's good from him. We shouldn't be short-sighted that, looking at the negative side. Oh, it's locked down. I can't go there. I can't do that. But everything has two sides, isn't it? It depends on what we choose to look at it.
Yes, yes.
But from him, it's all good.
From him, it's all good. And if you have the same vision as that, then everything is good. Nothing is bad. Yeah. And you're grateful for everything, and you're happy in any condition. Even in the materially the most miserable condition, a devotee can be completely happy. And that's amazing, to get to that point. And I've seen others that have reached that point, Prabhupada, of course, but also others, that they're happy even in the most difficult positions in life. Because it doesn't mean that devotees don't have any problems, but how the devotee perceives the problems is completely different. The materialistic person is, but the devotee is like, just like shantim, completely, shanti. Just, you can't just imagine how someone could be peaceful in such a crazy external situation. But I've seen it, and I've seen it in my own life. I mean, one time I was bitten by a dog when I was distributing Bhagavad Gitas door to door, and I was just observing my own reaction to that, being bitten by a dog on the leg. It bit me on the leg, and I was completely like aloof, like detached from that at that time. And it was amazing. Just if I look back into what happened, it was like I was completely like detached from the whole situation of my body being bitten and everything like that. And I saw also how Krishna protected me. Actually, a devotee had dropped me off. He had the car, and he wasn't supposed to pick me up for another hour. So I was thinking, well, what am I going to do? At that time, we didn't have mobiles or anything. This was like 15 years ago. And I don't have mobiles. I can't contact him. What am I going to do? 1 hour. And my leg was bleeding and everything like that. And within 5 minutes, he came. Within 5 minutes. And when we were driving to the hospital, I asked him, why did you come early to pick me up? And he said that a voice within him was saying, Abai's in trouble, go and find Abai. Abai's in trouble, go and find Abai. Oh. So that's Paramatma, that's Krishna. He's in everyone's heart. And, he does protect us. And you might say, well, if Krishna's protecting you, why did he let you get bitten by the dog in the first place? But I got many valuable lessons from that. Like, I realized that death can take place at any time, not only when I'm old. I was only about just over 20 years old at that time. I realized that death can take place at any time. And I became more serious about my spiritual practice, my sadhana after that, which was very good. I became more serious. So, and actually one guru came to see me because he'd heard that I got bitten and was like that. So he came, and he wouldn't have come to see me otherwise. But so I got to have his association. So there was many good things that came out of that. So I went a step up in my spiritual practice after that.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. I mean, you could have get angry at the dog and you say, well, you keep your dog and what, but you were cool. I mean, you were aware of your feelings. I mean, that's a big thing.
Yeah, but it was like I was an observer. Like I was standing back and I was watching the whole scenario take place. They have have you heard of out-of-body experiences?
Yeah. Yes. You're watching yourself. Indian movies, there's a lot of that. So you come out of your body and see yourself dance.
Yeah. So it was a bit like that. It was I was like an observer. I was just observing this happen, but I wasn't entangled in the situation. I was just witnessing it. And that was far out. That's the first time that ever happened to me. So, the way devotees go through all the ups and downs of life is completely different than a materialistic person. It's not the same. Externally, it might look the same, but it's not. You know, a devotee that has a family and working and so forth is not the same as a materialistic family working and everything. It seems the same from the outside, but there's a lot more going on underneath. To see, the main thing is the consciousness. That's what we're changing. We don't have to change. See, people think spiritual life means you change the externals. I'm going to leave the family, go to the forest, I'm going to quit my job and become a monk. No, that's not what spiritual life's about. It's about not changing the externals, but changing your consciousness. And that makes a massive difference. I think, you know, I'm that big dog all alone and I have to look after myself too. No, I'm not. You know, I'm helpless. I'm taking shelter of the supreme powerful Krishna. That's a massive difference.
That's a massive. That's very good point actually. Yeah, because when you put everything on your shoulder, as you said, bhar, you put everything, you know, put whole pressure. And the society you live in, they also do it, and you follow. So those kind of things really put havoc in your, you know, life, basically.
Yeah. And why do we want to do that? As we see, either someone's head blows up, we call that a stroke, or their heart blows up, we call it a heart attack. Why do we want to? It's just a waste of time. You know, we work so hard, you know, and just put ourselves in a pressure cooker. You know, pressure cooker, right?
Yes, I know pressure cooker. Yeah.
You know, so why turn ourselves into a pressure cooker? One day we're just going to blow up.
That's right.
You know, one day we're going to blow up. So, you know, that Krishna consciousness can actually bring us to like, it's such a release of so much pressure that, you know, I don't have to try to control everything and manipulate everything. I don't have to try to enjoy every situation anymore and you know, be the boss and the proprietor and all this kind of, it's such a relief, you know, and we're just happy with doing a little service. Okay, I offered some food to Krishna today. Wow, that's so ecstatic. Or I heard about Krishna's pastimes today. Or I chanted Krishna's names today. And we're just so satisfied with, you know, that we have progressed in our loving relationship with Krishna. And it just inwardly, we feel so happy, feel so complete.
That's right.
Because, you know, as Krishna is coming more in our life, you know, Krishna's nature is just ananda. It's just bliss. So the more you invite Krishna into your life, into your consciousness, you just become just filled up with happiness and satisfaction and peace. It just automatically comes. The more you chant and hear about Krishna and offer prasadam and everything, you just automatically, you just feel completely satisfied. That's the, you know, byproduct of Krishna consciousness is satisfaction.
That's true.
You're a little bit over time. Sorry for that.
Yeah, no. So I think I should be saying sorry because I think it's quite late there. So I think we should.
It doesn't worry me, but it's just it was a very.
No, that's fine. I don't have anything to do, but.